July 24, 2025. Washington, D.C. is on edge. Former President Donald Trump has just suffered a major defeat, not from a rival, but from the Supreme Court. The justices, including his own appointees, unanimously struck down his attempt to impose sweeping new tariffs. Trump saw tariffs as his tool to reshape global trade, but the court saw a dangerous overreach of presidential power. The ruling is a blow to Trump's America First agenda, stripping him of a key weapon. This isn't just about trade, it's a battle over the limits of presidential authority. The case began as a plan to protect American industries but quickly escalated into a constitutional crisis. As the case climbed through the courts, the nation watched, knowing the outcome would set a precedent for future presidents. The stakes were enormous, for Trump, for the country, and for the global economy. Now, the fallout begins. Trump, never one to accept defeat quietly, lashes out on social media. His supporters are energized, his opponents see a victory for democracy. The country is more divided than ever. This single decision has deepened America's political fissures. The world is watching, uncertain about the future of global trade. The Supreme Court has drawn a line in the sand. Trump is furious, exposed, and plotting his next move. The story is far from over. The balance of power in America has been tested and for now held. The next chapter is about to unfold. To understand the conflict, you need to understand tariffs, a tax on imported goods, meant to make foreign products more expensive and boost American industry. For decades, Congress held the power to set tariffs, as granted by the Constitution. Trump saw tariffs as a political weapon, using them aggressively during his presidency. He argued the president needed the power to act fast on trade, without waiting for Congress. His plan, a universal baseline tariff on all imports, adjustable at his discretion. Supporters saw this as putting America first, correcting years of bad trade deals. Critics called it a dangerous power grab, warning of higher prices and global retaliation. Economists predicted American consumers would pay more, and other countries would hit back with their own tariffs. The debate wasn't just about economics, it was about who holds the power to tax and regulate trade, the president or Congress. Trump claimed national security demanded swift action. Opponents argued the Constitution was clear. Congress alone has this authority. The legal battle was set. The stakes, the structure of American government itself. Could a president unilaterally reshape the global economy? The courts would decide. The legal fight began when business groups and importers sued, arguing Trump's tariffs would cause financial harm, and were unconstitutional. They pointed to Article 1, Section 8. Congress, not the president, controls taxes and trade. The administration argued the president had inherent authority in foreign policy and national security. The district court sided with the business groups, blocking Trump's tariffs. The judge ruled the president couldn't bypass Congress on such a fundamental issue. The administration appealed, but the Court of Appeals upheld the decision. Both courts agreed the Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the power to regulate commerce. With 2 losses, Trump's team turned to the Supreme Court. The nation braced for a final decisive ruling. The question was Trump's tariff plan a legitimate use of presidential power, or a violation of the Constitution? The stakes had never been higher. The answer would shape the future of executive authority. The Supreme Court would have the last word. The Supreme Court's decision was swift and unanimous, 9-0 against Trump. Every justice, including Trump's own appointees, agreed the president cannot impose a universal tariff system alone. The Constitution gives that power to Congress, and Congress alone. The court's opinion cited the founders' fear of concentrated executive power. They divided government powers to prevent an imperial presidency. Trump's plan, the court said, would have shattered that principle. The justices acknowledged the president's authority in foreign affairs, but ruled it is not unlimited. National security, they said, cannot override the Constitution. Congress has sometimes delegated limited tariff powers, but Trump's sweeping plan went far beyond that. The court's message separation of powers is the bedrock of American liberty. The ruling wasn't about whether tariffs are good or bad, it was about following the constitutional process. If tariffs are to be imposed, it must be by law, not executive decree. The judiciary had drawn a clear line. Trump's reaction was immediate and explosive. On social media, he called the decision a shameful and cowardly betrayal. He accused the justices, including his own appointees, of disloyalty. At a Mar-a-Lago press conference, Trump called the ruling a disgrace and a victory for America's rivals. He vowed to keep fighting for his trade agenda, casting himself as a victim of a corrupt system. Trump's rhetoric was designed to rally his base, framing the court's decision as a political battle, not a legal defeat. He urged supporters to stand with me and fight back. For Trump, this was not the end, just another obstacle. His response turned a constitutional debate into a personal crusade. The country's divisions deepened, the legal loss became political fuel. The fight was far from over. The Supreme Court's decision sent ripples worldwide. Global markets, anxious over Trump's tariff threats, breathed a sigh of relief. America's trading partners welcomed the ruling as a victory for stability and the rule of law. The European Union and other allies saw it as proof that U.S. checks and balances still work. Canada and Mexico were relieved. No new trade war on the horizon. China's official response was muted, but the ruling weakened Trump's hand. Asian economies saw reduced risk and more predictable trade. Inside the U.S., business groups celebrated the decision as a win for economic stability. Trump's supporters, however, echoed his outrage, seeing betrayal by the establishment. The ruling calmed global fears but deepened America's political divide. The world watched as the U.S. wrestled with its own democracy. The message: American institutions still matter. With the Supreme Court's decision final, Trump's path forward is uncertain. His plan for unilateral tariffs is dead. He must now work with Congress, a body he's often clashed with. Winning new tariff powers will require negotiation and compromise, a tough task in a divided legislature. The ruling sets a powerful precedent. Future presidents can't bypass Congress on major trade policy. The decision strengthens Congress's role and ensures public debate on economic decisions. In the short term, Trump's outrage will energize his base and fuel political battles. The fight over tariffs moves from the courts to the campaign trail. The ruling is a landmark, reaffirming the limits of presidential power. It brings stability to global markets but deepens U.S. political fault lines. Congress's authority over trade is clear, but the political struggle is just beginning. The story of Trump, tariffs, and the balance of power isn't over. This chapter closes, but the next is already unfolding. America's constitutional order has held, for now.